I accidentally replaced scrolling with knitting and it changed my life. It all started in August of 2025, about a year ago, when I was on a flight from Victoria, BC to Toronto to go to my sister's wedding. And to pass the time on the flight and to just soothe my nerves when I was flying, I packed some crochet. I've been crocheting for probably about a year. I'd made some blankets for myself, for my daughter, made a lot of dishcloths. And I was interested in making garments, but I didn't really like the way the crochet garments looked. Anyway, so I'm on the flight and I'm crocheting my little dishcloth because at that time it would take me the whole flight to crochet a dishcloth. And as I'm crocheting, a woman comes up to me in the aisle and I call her my knitting angel because she took great interest in what I was doing and asked me what I was crocheting, and I told her a dishcloth, and she said, I think she took a lot of interest in what I was doing, and she kind of crouched down beside me in the aisle and she said, here's what you're gonna do. You're going to get a pair of knitting needles and you're gonna knit the worst scarf you can ever imagine. You're going to get some wood needles, you're going to get some light colored yarn, you're gonna knit a scarf, and when you're done, you're gonna frog it. You're going to rip it out. And then you are going to be able to knit a sweater, because knitting is much better for sweaters and garments. If you're interested in garments at all, then you definitely need to learn to knit. So when I got to Ontario and after the festivities of the wedding had calmed down, I went to Walmart, I think, and picked up a ball of white yarn and some wood knitting needles. And I decided to knit a scarf. And it was awful. It was ugly. I had no interest in knitting a scarf. I had knit a long time ago when my daughter was young. I never finished anything, but I started a knitting club at her school and I did a bunch of knitting. And so I knew what I was doing, but it had been like a lot of years, like 15 years, 20 years. And so I was a bit rusty, but I picked it up again and she was right. I knit the scarf and then I ripped it out. And then when I got home in September, I started looking up beginner sweaters. I was so excited to knit my first garment. I looked up beginner sweaters and I tagged a lot of them, and I eventually settled on one that pretty much everybody knits as their first sweater, which was Florence Miller's Step-by-Step sweater. And I was so embarrassed to go to the knitting store, the local yarn store, to get yarn, because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm learning from a video and this is so embarrassing. You know, probably everybody knows how to knit. But as soon as I got there, they were so kind to me. They helped me figure out how much yarn I needed. They helped me figure out what yarn I needed, what needles I needed, and they got me all set up. And they said, oh, so what sweater are you knitting? And I said, well, this is embarrassing, but it's Florence Miller's Step-by-Step sweater. And they're like, that's the best. We love when people start with that sweater. It's a great sweater. So I felt so reassured by that. And I went home and I started knitting the Step-by-Step sweater. So at around the same time, I was getting really fed up with the way that I was using social media, especially scrolling. It was something that I do when I was exhausted. I didn't have the inner resources to do anything else. And I would just like flake out and rot on the couch with scrolling. And what bothered me most about it was that maybe it would feel okay at the beginning, but then it would start to not feel okay. There would be rage bait, there would be stuff that's just designed to trigger you, to get you to continue to scroll, to grab your attention, and it was just exhausting. It became like, it was really dragging me down, and it would keep me from doing other things that I wanted to do. So I did what anybody might do. I gave myself a digital detox, and I set up some things in place where I put, I'll figure out the name of the app, but I put an app on that, it's called OneSec. Put OneSec on my phone, and what it does is it has this little animation that plays when you open it that asks you to take a deep breath. And then it asks you why you're here, what you want to do. And honestly, for me, at the beginning, that was enough to keep me off it. But in the meantime, I was knitting my sweater. And what I noticed was that just the act of knitting the sweater gave me something to do with my hands, and that wasn't scrolling. I could still watch a YouTube video, but it was long form content. It wasn't as rage baity, clickbaity, fear mongering as the short form content. And it wasn't like that swiping, and I wasn't looking down. I could kind of knit and do the other thing at the same time. A lot of times I would listen to audiobooks. I've listened to so many audiobooks about knitting, and it's just a great way to be able to focus on what I'm doing, but have something else keep me company. So already things were starting to shift, and I don't think I really realized it then how much things were shifting, but my habits were changing. And it was knitting, because knitting really allowed me to keep my hands busy. But not only did it allow me to keep my hands busy, but it also gave me something that was very low effort. So a lot of my hobbies, because I teach yoga online, like there's a crossover between that hobby and my work. And so it would be hard to separate the two. It would be hard to do my own practice and not think about teaching. Or also there's just kind of a limit to how much yoga you can do in a day. When you're already doing something very physical, to do more physical things, a lot of times I would just be too tired. Even if it was restorative or yoga nidra or yin yoga, of course those things don't require as much energy, but there was just this closeness between what I was doing to recover and my work. And I think I just needed more separation between the two. Even things like, another thing that I love doing is going to the gym. But again, I would need energy for that. I would need a lot of physical inner resources to be able to do that. And what I found was that a lot of times, I would just want to rot on the couch. I was tired. I'd spent a lot of energy filming. I'd spent a lot of energy teaching. And I just needed something that really allowed me to recover, that was very low stakes, physically, mentally, energetically. And knitting really fit that bill for me, because it allowed me to sit and it allowed me to quietly consume some long form content in the background. And at the same time, I'm knitting my own garments. So it took me a long time. That first sweater took me, I think, 4 months. I started in September and I finished shortly before Christmas. But over the course of that time, a lot of things were happening for me that I didn't realize were happening. I was using social media like Instagram way less. I wasn't scrolling anymore because knitting was keeping my hands busy. But more than that, I started to get confidence, and I realized that I could do things I didn't realize I could do. So I started doing, I finished my Florence Miller sweater, and then I think I got really excited about knitting socks. So I knit my first pair of socks, and then I loved the socks because they were a smaller project. And this is another thing that happens with the knitting. It's just like dopamine, 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 because there's so many things where you're hitting a completion. You knit a stitch, and then I find like every stitch is like dopamine. Every row is dopamine. When you finish a garment, it's major dopamine. When you cast on, it's dopamine. When you cast off, it's dopamine. When you choose, I love choosing new projects to work on. Like, that's another dopamine hit. So there's so much in my brain that was changing because of knitting. The other thing that happened that I didn't expect was that it was so soothing for my nervous system. So there were times when I would be knitting, and it just, that stocking knit stitch was just like so smooth and easy and repetitive. And that just made my brain calm down. It calmed down my brain, and it just felt so soothing to be doing something that was so repetitive. And if it got boring, because it gets boring sometimes knitting stocking net, then I would switch over to a more challenging project, or I would weave in my ends, but I would switch it up when I noticed that my brain wanted more. Or on the opposite way too, I have this project that I've been working on that is a lace project, and that one requires a lot of attention for me, and I put it in timeout. I'll put it in timeout, and I always make sure I have a simple stocking knit project on the go, because it's just so easy for my brain and so soothing, and I have lots of hard things to do in the day, and so my hobby can be a place where I just soothe my nervous system in a way that's quite different from what I do in my work, because I do a lot of nervous system stuff in my work, but this was different. One of the biggest things that happened for me when I was knitting is that I couldn't wait to start knitting at the end of my work day. So there started to be more differentiation between work and my leisure time. And that separation from work was really big for me. I love my work. I am so grateful for what I get to do every day. I love my students, I love my members. But the thing is, when you have a passion that is also your work, it can really seep into your day-to-day life, so that even times when I wasn't working, I was thinking about what classes I would make, things I could try, reading books about yoga, and there was not a lot of differentiation. I would be spending time in my downtime practicing yoga, and yeah, just generally thinking about it a lot. But by picking up a hobby and knitting, it gave me something else to think about. It gave me a reason to stop my work day. It gave me something to focus on besides knitting, and that was like super, super powerful for me. And here's something else that started happening that was completely unexpected. My local yarn shop, if I purchase the yarn there, then they will provide you with support and help when you need it. So I knew that when I was buying my yarn there and to make my step-by-step sweater, that if I ran into any problems, I could take it in and they would help sort me out. And that was just a great thing, that I knew that I had support and help when I needed. But what came out of that, more than that, were social connections that I didn't expect. Going and talking to other people who are knitting their projects just really lit me up, and seeing what they were knitting. And on the first time when I went there was a woman knitting the songbird mittens, and I thought, oh my gosh, I want to learn how to make something like that. I want to do that too. So it would inspire me to do harder projects. And so I knew I needed to learn to knit on double pointed needles. I know you can do it in magic loop, but the woman that was helping that day was really like, oh, I hate magic loop. And I thought, oh, well, magic loop sounds terrible. I'm gonna learn DPNs. So I learned DPNs. That really helped me actually for socks, and I decided I was gonna learn how to knit fingerless gloves. Nothing as complicated as songbird mittens, but just something simple to learn for a beginner. And through that, I made myself these, and then I had enough to make 2 more pairs. So it allowed me to like make gifts for people. And since then, I've made a pair of socks for my husband. I'm making a pair of socks for my daughter's boyfriend. I've made her a pair of these mitts. I'm working on a bonnet for her. And it's just really fun to have projects on the go or in mind for people for gifts. So there's a lot of potential for social connection that I wasn't getting from scrolling. When I scroll, it's a very isolated event. It disconnects me from other people. Sure, I can pebble somebody and send them a reel or something, but I was experiencing more social connections, going to knitting nights, and just those are like a blast, because you meet other people just like you who are doing things just like you, and you get ideas for your projects, and you get to see what everybody else is knitting, and you sit and chat about life in general, and it's just so much fun. And then the other thing that it did was it shifted me away from mindlessly consuming content to becoming a creator in a very low stakes way. So in the past, I've done things like painting and art, and I would get very fixated on the outcome of the project or like being a good artist. But when you follow a pattern, you're gonna end up with a garment at the end. You're gonna end up with a sweater, or like this is gonna be a sweater vest, or you're gonna get a scarf or a hat or mittens or socks, or the sky's the limit. So it shifted me from being a passive consumer to being a creator in a way that wasn't mentally exhausting. And I really appreciated that. And now here I am almost a year later, 10 months later, and scrolling is something that I realized just today that I accidentally really gave up and was able to stay without it, like to keep that habit aside. It's not something I have to work at. I just realized I actually accidentally gave up social media by starting knitting because it gave me something to do with my hands, because it was a much better way to soothe my nervous system. At the end of the day, it gave me separation from work. It gave me a hobby that was fun, something I could look forward to. It gave me social connections. It shifted me from being this kind of rotting on the couch consumer of short form content into just a whole other world. And so I just think it's kind of interesting how knitting accidentally allowed me to give up social media. I'm so excited about knitting. I'm so excited about all the projects I have planned. And I just know that this is something I'm going to be able to stick with in a way that is much healthier for me than scrolling on social media.